Welcome back, MTN Giants podcast previewing week number 9. The Commanders are at the Giants, their second and final matchup of the year. I guess unless they met in the playoffs, but playoffs? Giants? No. Anyway, final matchup of the year. The Commanders won the first one in a game where things really started to get off the rails for the Giants after that one because they should have won it. Had no kicker after the opening kickoff. Well, I guess second kickoff technically, but yeah, so that was embarrassing. And now they have more kicker issues again because now Greg Joseph has an oblique injury. He's not going to play. So they're going to have this Rutgers guy, I forget his name now, Jude McAdamy or something his name is. So they're going to have him kicking probably, so more kicker issues potentially on the way. The Commanders are coming off a great win. They have really played well since like week 3, ever since that Bengals game, the game after they played us in week 2. Ever since their week 3 win at the Bengals, they've become a team that people are taking serious. They have won a bunch of games, 6 out of their last 7 games. Their only loss coming at Baltimore, and it was still a 7-point loss. I know the Ravens were up 2 scores at one point in that game, but still. The Giants will enter with Daniel Jones again. They've lost 3 games in a row, and the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results, and that's what they're doing with Daniel Jones out here. I don't know why. I feel like a lot of the fans are kind of on my side here. Like, why do we have to see him play anymore? There's no point. I mean, I've reached a point where I just don't want the Giants to win games anymore because I want a new quarterback and I want the highest pick possible so the Giants can hopefully get their guy for once, unlike last year and many other years they came up short in the draft order. So I'm hoping they lose. Right now they are 4-point underdogs, and if they lost this game, I don't know if things will change because then they play next week in Germany. Right now, they're 5.5-point favorites. Of course, things can change, but right now they're early favorites by almost 6 points. So they have that going for them. They can probably, if they somehow win this game, then win the Panthers game, they can win 2 in a row going into their bye and feel much better about the whole situation. But of course, there's the likelihood of them losing this game, winning versus the Panthers in ugly fashion, and going into their bye saying, hey, at least we're 3-7 and at least we're not 2-8. So they can have that going into the bye. So we'll see what these next 2 weeks have for us. But let's go over the injuries. I saw Tyrone Tracy had a concussion Monday. And most times nowadays, I keep saying this over and over again since the Tua incident in 2022, most times when guys get a concussion, they do miss the next week. And with 6 days of rest as compared to 7, you figure Tyrone Tracy is definitely going to be out this week, but he was limited on Thursday. Then he was basically fully cleared by Friday. And there was optimism on Wednesday that maybe he can clear in time, but to be cleared on Friday was pretty much a miracle. So the Giants get Tyrone Tracy back. That is awesome news. Jamie Gillen is still out, the punter. For the kicking situation, Greg Joseph, it's an abdomen injury, they listed it as, so I guess oblique, abdomen, same thing, but he's out. So they're going to have that kicker out of Rutgers who I mentioned. I don't think he's ever kicked in the NFL, so might be another interesting kicker situation upon us tomorrow. Nobody's been ruled out or in. Besides that, I'm looking right now. I mean, everybody else seems to have had at least a limited practice, full practices. So, I mean, they have Bryce Ford-Wheaton as doubtful with an Achilles injury, so that's pretty scary. Josh Azudu is a full practice if that matters. I mean, the left tackle spot for the Giants is such a mess right now. I even saw, I think it was Carmen Brasillo had this really weird quote about the offensive line, well, specifically the left tackle spot. Brasillo said, somebody's going to be out there playing. We have contingency plans. We have options. It's like a weird quote for your offensive or for your left tackle, your most important offensive line spot. They obviously have no interest in playing Evan Neal. He's just a bust, and that is what it is. I don't even know if he's going to play another snap for the Giants. It might be that bad. And I don't know what it is. I've heard the rumors of him maybe not being as mature as they wanted him to be and some of the offseason stuff they didn't like. And I don't know. It's just there's some weird stuff going on there. It looks like Chris Hubbard will once again start at left tackle. So who's ever across from him, congrats on the 2 sacks. But anyway, let's get into the preview. Of course, leave a like, subscribe, and let's get into it. We'll start with the Commanders offense. So they have Cliff Kingsbury calling their plays, and after the first 2 weeks, a lot of fans of the Commanders were like, this guy sucks, fire him. And now Cliff Kingsbury in this offense, they look very good. They are up top 10 in pretty much every offensive category that you want to be top 10 in. So since week 3, which was their big win once again at the Bengals, this team is averaging 32.5 points per game. It might be slightly influenced because there was a pick 6 in there by Dante Fowler, so maybe it's like, I don't know, 30, 31. Either way, still very impressive. The Giants, for instance, have not reached 30 points once this year. They could have in the game in Seattle, but they still technically have not reached 30 points this year. Overall, they are third in offensive points per game at 29.5. They are third in rushing yards per game at 165.8 per game. And that's a issue for the Giants because you think about their past 2 matchups. You had Najee Harris kill them on the ground. I feel like Jaylen Warren had a decent day. And then the game before that, you had the game versus Philly, and we all saw Saquon Barkley break off 3 or 4 giant runs, and even Kenneth Gainwell had a decent day. And even in the Bengals game, Chase Brown had that big touchdown at the end. So the Giants' run defense, for as good of a player Dexter Lawrence has been, he can't do it all himself, and that's it's been an issue. They are 10th in passing yards per game at 230.5 yards per game. So they're top 10 in both rushing and passing. This is an offense that can beat you in both ways. And Terry McLaurin has been on fire the past month or so. The first 2 games for him were pretty quiet. I remember, listening to fantasy podcast and people freaking out about Terry McLaurin. Now it's like, oh, Terry McLaurin's great. He's been averaging 90 yards per game since week 3, and he's been really good, making big plays downfield. We all know how great Jaden Daniels is on the deep ball. Must be nice. This team right now is number 1 in turnover rate. Like, they rarely lose the ball offensively. So I don't know if turnover rate was the right way to say that, but the point is they just don't really turn the ball over. Daniels is a smart quarterback who does not put the ball in harm's way. They have a good 1-2 punch at running back that they protect the ball as well. Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler, and they're like different types of players. I like that for them. It's nice to have. It's kind of like a Brandon Jacobs and Ahmad Bradshaw. I don't know why I forgot him. He's like my favorite Giant. But yeah, Ahmad Bradshaw. It's kind of like that in a way. So they have the big back and Brian Robinson. They have the smaller back who can do more in Austin Eckler. I know Eckler's like 28 now, but still, he's shown plays this year where he still has some juice left, so can't take him very lightly. And the Commanders are number 1 in average time per drive, so I'm sure having a great rushing offense will help this, but basically every time the Commanders have a possession on offense, it's averaged the longest in the NFL, so like they hold the ball for a while. Noah Brown can make plays downfield for them. He's like their wide receiver 2 now. They also have Olamide Zaccheaus. I always don't know how to pronounce his first name, but even Zaccheaus has made some nice plays for them. They'll kind of use him in like some gimmicky fashion sometimes, but he does make some big plays for them. I think he played for Philly last year, was a Falcon before that. And before the offensive line, Zach Ertz is still there. Of course, Zach Ertz, the Giants killer. He had a nice game versus them back in week 2. The offensive line for the Commanders, the interior is playing well. You had a bunch of new guys. Well, not a bunch, but you had new left guard, Nick Allergetti. They got him from the Chiefs. They brought over Tyler Biadasz, of course, with Dan Quinn coming from Dallas. They brought over some Dallas players. And this one on offense was center Tyler Biadasz. Sam Cosmi at right guard has been really good. I saw he got an extension. Well-deserved. They do have a rookie left tackle, Brandon Coleman. He's been serviceable so far, but a rookie 3rd-round pick, so maybe that's one spot the Giants can look to exploit. They still have Andrew Wiley at right tackle. He's solid, so their offensive line, like, they don't have any big names, but they are good enough to kind of get by, and when you have a quarterback like Daniels who knows what he sees pre-snap and can avoid the pass rush, it just makes the biggest difference possible. And they have good running backs. So overall, yeah, their offense is really good. The Giants defense will have to step up in a big way. And they've had their games, the Giants defense, where they actually come out and look great. Like, I think about that Bengals game where the Bengals came in. They had T. Higgins, one of his healthy games this year, so they were against both great receivers. And the Giants defense came out there and played their asses off for about 55 minutes. And unfortunately, the Giants offense did nothing, but they've had their games where they come out and play great. So we're going to see what version of the Giants defense we get. As we know, the Giants are a better road team, so they have that going for them. They don't have it going for them in this game because they are home, but I feel like in most road games, the Giants do play better for some reason, so it must be a MetLife thing. Commanders defense right now, they are 11th in points per game allowed at 20.9. They are 13th in yards per game allowed, total of 326.4 yards per game allowed. Since week 4, their defense is only allowing 15.8 points per game. There were teams teams in there like the Panthers and the Browns when they had Deshaun Watson, but still, like, that is really impressive. Under 16 points per game since week 4. Jonathan Allen on IR for the rest of the year. Of course, he's one of their better defensive players. He's out for the year. Defensive line, I mentioned before, some cast-offs from the Cowboys, Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler Jr., both guys playing really well, actually, so good signings there. But even guys like Daron Payne and Johnny Newton, they're supposed to be good. Newton's a rookie who, did they take him in the first round or second round? I forget now, but Johnny Newton, I guess second round because they took Daniels in the first round. Yeah, he was second round, 36 overall. Duh, that makes sense. So you have him. So you have like a defensive line with good names. Their linebacker spot, where they invested a lot of money in this offseason, has been really good. Like, they have gotten everything they could have hoped for out of Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu. I saw they released Jamin Davis, who was their first round pick at linebacker back in 2021 or 22. One of those drafts. He's now off the team. I think he went to like Green Bay or something. So that was a failed draft pick. And speaking of failed draft picks, they probably failed with this draft pick as well. Emmanuel Forbes, who they took back in 2023, I believe, in the first round. He's been awful. He had a game where he was a healthy scratch, and now he like barely plays. And this is a team that doesn't really have the best cornerback room. So you would think like your first round pick from last year or 2 years ago now can step up and play, but Emmanuel Forbes has been unplayable for this team. Their secondary is not that good, as I mentioned. They have Mike Sandra still out of Michigan, their second round pick, Benjamin St-Juste, who I do like, but I don't really like him as a cornerback one. It's a bit, I don't know, too much to ask for, I feel like. Noah Igbenogany, a cornerback 3 for them. He was a 2020 first-round pick with the Miami Dolphins. I remember liking him in college. He was super young, but I guess just never developed. I mentioned Emmanuel Forbes. He probably will play, but don't expect much. Jeremy Chin is an exciting safety. He was great his first 2 years. I don't know what happened to him. I think it was a scheme change in Carolina. Obviously, they're not the greatest at developing their players, but Jeremy Chin is actually playing okay this year, so he's maybe found a home there, still 26 years old. And I forgot to mention Frankie Louvu, Bobby Wagner, their 2 linebackers. They will get to the quarterback. They will blitz those guys. Louvu has 4 sacks this year already. Bobby Wagner has 2. So you have to watch out for that. But I don't know what to expect from the Giants in this game. These Commanders-Giants games are always pretty weird. I'll just say with the Giants and the way they play at MetLife most weeks, I will say the Giants lose, which I guess is not too much of a surprise. And for a final score, I'll say give me like 27-16. 27-16, give me the Commanders. I think the Giants offense will score some points. They might find the end zone twice or something, but I don't expect a ton of offensive points, and they've already played the Giants, so they know what's coming. And Dan Quinn in his career has had great success versus Daniel Jones. I feel like he knows how to figure him out. And I mean, to Jones's credit, he did play well versus the Commanders in the first week, or the first matchup against the Commanders, so there is that, but I don't know. I just don't think the Giants will have that many. The Giants had 18 in their first matchup, and they could have had easily somewhere from like 21 to 26, but they had no kicker once again, so I don't know. But we'll see what happens. I say it's like 26-16 or whatever I said, 27-16, something like that. So anyway, let's get into the week number 9 spread picks. All right, week 9 spread picks. Let's go over last week quickly as I go through everything. So last week I went 8-5. That's nice. 55, 55, and 3. Back to 500 for the year. Lost on the final play of the Chicago spread. That was annoying, but you know, a Hail Mary is great to see, so shout out Commanders. For the spread picks for this week, as I'm trying to find it. All right, so here we go. Cowboys at Falcons. Right now, it's Atlanta by a field goal. Atlanta by 3. This is a game that can go either way, in my opinion. I really do think the Cowboys need this win. They're calling it like a must-win game in Dallas, so I will say the Cowboys win the game. I'll take them as a +3 on the road. It's still in a dome, so similar type environment, but I think the Cowboys offense will give us something here. I saw Ezekiel Elliott is not playing this game for some type of like, I forget what they called it, but some type of off-field issue, so I don't know what happened there with Zeke. But anyway, Cowboys for me +3. Broncos at Ravens. Baltimore by 9.5. A real task here for the Broncos. They've had some easy matchups this year, but This is a tough one, of course. Lamar Jackson did miss Wednesday, Thursday with a knee injury, but he's good to go. I want to think the Broncos keep it close, but I think the Ravens, coming off a loss last week, they are home. I will say they beat the crap out of the Broncos. And the one thing about the Ravens defense is they're bad against the pass, but really good against the run. So the Broncos, who probably want to run the ball more, I will say they struggle offensively. I'll take the Ravens here minus 9.5. Dolphins at Bills. Big game here for the Dolphins. If they lose this one and go to 2-6, I mean it's cooked. It's over. Season's over. So Buffalo minus 6.5 here at home. It's a large spread, and the Bills do usually play this Dolphins team very well. So with the Bills playing the way they have, I do want to say Buffalo wins this one by a good amount. But it's also a lot of points. So I think I'm going to talk myself into Miami here as a plus 6.5. I don't love it. I could definitely see the Bills coming out, winning this by a lot, having a great offensive showing. But once again, season's on the line. You have Tua back. It's his second game back now. So I'll just say the Dolphins can cover the 6.5 point spread. Saints at Panthers, the game nobody's going to watch this week, but it is Saints minus 7.5 on the road. Jeez. So a lot of points here. The Giants get this Panthers team next week where they might actually win a game. So I'm going to say the Saints because they are getting, I don't even like Derek Carr, so I don't even want to say that. I feel like the Panthers may have a chance to cover this thing. So you know what? I'll just take the Panthers. Why not? I mean, the Saints have a lot of weapons out, I feel like. They have every backup running back out. I mean, Derek Carr is getting his first start since like week 4. So, I don't know. I feel like the Panthers, they are pretty pissed about how last week went. I saw J.C. Horn was really getting into it with Sean Payton after the game because they ran up the score. So, I don't know. I'll just take the Panthers plus 7.5. Why the hell not? They can hopefully compete in this divisional matchup. Raiders at Bengals. It's Cincinnati by 7. There's going to be no T. Higgins once again. I want to say the Bengals because this is a game where their season's probably on the line. So it is 7 points, which is a ton. So you know what? I'll just take the Bengals here. They're still without Christian Wilkins, and I think Chase Brown will have a monster game here. So Bengals kill them on the ground. I think the Bengals defense can stop this Raiders offense, you would think. So I'll take the Bengals by 7 here. Chargers at Browns. Chargers favorites by 1 point. You know, the Chargers do have some secondary injuries, so I think with that said, I'm going to take Cleveland. I could see the Browns winning this game. It's only Browns plus 1, so you're pretty much picking the winner here. So I'll take the Cleveland Browns here. I say why not? They can pass on this Chargers defense now, and I do like the Chargers offense and how they've looked lately, but I don't know. I just trust the Browns defense more, so I'll take Cleveland here. Why not? Commanders at Giants. I already said Commanders I had them by 10, 11 points. So I'll take the Commanders here. Obviously minus 4. Patriots at Titans, a game that's going to be tough to watch once again. Drake May cleared concussion protocol, so just like Tyrone Tracy, didn't even miss a game, so he's back. It is Tennessee by 3. They are home. I don't really trust this Titans team whatsoever. I think the Patriots with Drake May have some sort of life to them. So I'll just take the Patriots here plus 3 on the road. They can obviously win this game. It would not be too shocking, so I'll take that. Bears at Cardinals. This could be a fun, exciting shootout type of game. Arizona minus 1.5. The Cardinals have played well lately, I will say. I want to say the Bears come back and play well after what happened to them with the Hail Mary, but I don't know if I trust that. So I'm just going to take Arizona minus 1.5. They might be the better team. I don't know. So the Cardinals, who do look better lately, they can beat you with the run, beat you with the pass. I feel like they can win this game. So I'll take Arizona minus 1.5. Jaguars at Eagles. It's Eagles by 7.5. A lot of points here. The Jaguars do have some wide receiver injuries, but guys are going to play, I think. I think Gabe Davis is good. I think Brian Thomas is good to go. But Christian Kirk's now out for the year, so they did lose him. But I don't know if the Eagles can beat them by a lot. I think the Eagles win this game, but it will probably be closer than we expect. I could just see Jacksonville staying in this for some reason, so I will take the Jaguars plus 7.5. I don't know why I'm thinking this, but I'll just go with that. Lions at Packers. It's Detroit minus 3 on the road. Probably a banged-up Jordan Love playing in this game. The Packers have a bye next week, so if they do get down by 2 scores, I kind of wonder, is there a quick hook for Jordan Love. So with that said, I will take the Lions. They just are healthier without, even Aiden Hutchinson. But still, I think with the quarterback situation, I just don't really know if Love's going to look that good. I have to be honest. So I'll take Detroit -3. I feel better about them. Rams at Seahawks, 425 game. It's the Rams by 1.5. I love the Rams here. I think the Rams win this one by a good amount. I mean, the Seahawks without DK Metcalf looked so bad last week, and I think the Rams, they're 3-4 now. It's a big game for this division. Like if the Rams can win this game, they were like 1-4 at one point. If they can get this win, they're right back in it. So I'll take the Rams here -1.5. Colts at Vikings. Joe Flacco and the Colts. So it's Minnesota by 5.5 points, and I don't know how the Colts are going to react. I feel like some of the Colts players were blindsided by the quarterback benching of Richardson. Some, I guess, weren't. But I don't know. It's the way that thing went down was weird, so I don't know if the vibes are right with this Colts team, so I will take Minnesota. They've had extra time off. They didn't play since last Thursday with the horrendous face mask call that was missed in LA, so they've had time to scheme up for this game. I love their coaching staff in Minnesota. I'll take the Vikings -5.5. Monday night, Buccaneers at the Chiefs. It's KC by 9. I just don't trust the Chiefs to cover big spreads anymore. I just don't. I mean, maybe I'll be wrong here, but even Baker Mayfield without his top 2 receivers, I saw Sterling Shepard might be out as well. So you're going in there with Trey Palmer and Jalen McMillan, Kate Otten, Rashad White, but they can still get the job done and possibly cover here. So I'll take the Buccaneers +9. And of course, on Thursday, we saw the Jets win, so good for them. That was an interesting game between the dropped ball at the 1-yard line, which was one of the dumber plays you'll ever see, which pissed me off even more because Kyle Pitts did it last week, and you would think that these players would think to themselves, don't be that guy. And of course, it happens a week later, and this time it actually happens. So anyway, they're 3-6, Texans 6-3. They get Nico Collins back soon. They'll be all right. So anyway, that'll do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Of course, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys next time.